page. Well, you'll just have to pause it. I'll explain it to you tomorrow. Sorry. Those are the diagrams. Pause it. That's the lesson 34 slideshow. Okay, well you'll get another example. Thanks, Miles. All right, look at another example. The sheriff began his pursuit. Robin Hood was already 7 miles out of Nottingham. If the sheriff traveled at 6 miles per hour, while Robin Hood's rate was 2.5 miles per hour, how long did it take the sheriff to catch up? Did they start at the same place? So when the sheriff started, he was at the castle, okay? Was Robin Hood here at the castle too? He was 7 miles out. So this is the distance of Robin Hood. Yes. Robin Hood had a 7-mile head start. Did the sheriff catch up to Robin Hood? Like they ended in the same spot. Does that make sense? So this is the distance of the sheriff. Uh-huh. The sheriff started here, and he ended at the same spot. So he caught up to Robin Hood. No, he didn't stop. He started he was like going really fast. Like Robin Hood started at Nottingham. He moved 7 miles, and then when he got 7 miles out, the sheriff started catching, running to catch him up, and they stopped. Mm-hmm. The sheriff was going 3.5 miles faster. That's why they eventually caught up. Robin Hood was trying to hide in the woods, and the sheriff was on a horse or running. Horse. Yeah. Do y'all see how that formula works? Yeah, they have the same time. Because when Robin Hood got 7 miles out is when the sheriff started. Like whenever y'all ever do races with your parents or older siblings or anything like that? Running or whatever. Did they ever give you a head start? Robin Hood got a head start. Robin Hood got a 7-mile head start, and then the sheriff started. Okay? Does that make sense? They don't care how long it took Robin Hood to get to the 7-mile mark. But once he got there is when the sheriff took off. Does that make sense? They have the same time because they didn't start the time until the Robin Hood got to 7 miles, and that's when they both started moving. So did they actually tell us the distance of either of them? So we really don't need this one. Do they tell us the rate of Robin Hood? Do they tell us the rate of the sheriff? Do they tell us anything about a time? Like AM, PM, anything? You just have to assume. It really doesn't matter. They don't say what time. It just says how long did it take. So it's just the time. Does that make sense? Because the time for both of them was the same. He had to cover 7 miles more. They both finished at the same time. They started at the same time. They started at different places. Does that make sense? He had a head start. Yeah, he had a head start, but they weren't counting it. Like that's just he got a head start, and then they started time. Yeah, yeah, that is the case. But the time that from when the sheriff started until he called him, how long did it take? Is what it means. And they only want to know how long did the second person go, basically. Any other questions on this part? Correct. It's going to be how fast. So it's how fast he was running after he did the 7 miles. Yeah, it doesn't matter. No, they won't do that. No, no. All right. So what would we write instead of dr? What would we write instead of ds? Okay. So what is our rr? What is our tr? What is our rs? And what is our ts? Does that make sense? So 7 plus 2.5t equals 6t. So how long did it take the sheriff to catch up? Does that make sense? Any questions? Do we need to do another example? Any questions? Y'all need another example? Okay. All right.